It's a tale as old as time. Bureaucrats pass a backwards policy that ends up hurting the very people they're trying to help. The latest example comes from Seattle's $15 minimum wage experiment. The City Council commissioned a group of diverse economists from the University of Washington to study the effects of the law, and their findings, well, they were not in line with expectations. Seattle's minimum wage hike is happening in stages, and these economists found that after raising it from $11 to $13, low-wage workers saw their monthly take-home pay fall by $125. And damage to these workers isn't over, as the climb to $15 is about halfway done. Joining me now to explain why these progressive plans are backfiring, it's the Executive Vice President of the CATO Institute, David Boaz. Welcome back, David Boaz.
Hi, how are you?
I'm better than low-wage workers in Seattle, I can tell you that, because they are being truly hurt by these do-gooder experiments. So can you explain how minimum wage hurts the lowest wage workers?
What you learn the first day in an economics class is that if you raise the price of something, people will want to buy less of it. That could be bananas, that could be cable television packages, it could be automobiles. If you raise the price, people will buy less. We raise the price of sodas and high-fat foods these days in order to get people to buy less of them. So you raise the price of labor, people are going to tend to buy less. And that's what this study at the University of Washington found, that when they raised the minimum wage from $11 to $13 across the city of Seattle, they found that low-income workers, on average, were losing $125 a month. And I saw somebody who said, that's not that much, $125 a month. Well, maybe to some of us it wouldn't be, but if you are a minimum wage worker, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a full day's work for most people. And David, a lot of these liberal economists and lawmakers tend to rely on a 1994 study that showed the positive effects of minimum wage boosts in the food service industry. Is this study out of the University of Washington disproving that 1994 study?
Well, we want to be careful about saying that any one study proves or disproves something. But yes, this is a broader study. It didn't look just at restaurant workers, which is what people often look at because it's easy to define. This study tried to look at minimum wage workers, low-skilled and low-income workers across the city of Seattle, and they found actually that there was less of a problem among restaurant workers, as some other studies had showed, and more of a problem among the larger group of low-skilled workers. So it does seem that it is actually a better constructed and more persuasive study than the previous one.
All right, and I want you to talk a little bit about the long-term effects, because obviously employers are giving their employees fewer hours. But what are the long-term effects economically for a city like Seattle, for small businesses and for workers themselves?
Well, one obvious long-term effect is that if you have a higher minimum wage in the city than you do in the suburbs or maybe in the state next door, that businesses will tend to move out of the city where the wages have been pushed above the market, and so there will be fewer jobs for people who actually live in that city. But another long-term effect that's very important is nobody ever gets a second job without having a first job. So if you cut off the lowest rungs of the job ladder, if you're a teenager, if you're a high school graduate, and you're looking for your first job, and employers are not finding you worth $13 an hour in what you can produce, then you may not get that first job. And if you have a resume that doesn't show a first job, then it's very hard to go and apply for a job and be able to say, look, I learned job skills. I had this job and now I'm ready for something else.
Yeah, which is the point of these entry-level jobs. And it just goes to show you that although these laws are well-intentioned, they end up hurting the people that they're supposed to help. David Boaz, thank you so much for your time. I always appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see you.